Back here in Philadelphia at LaxCon 2020 with Tucker Sargent, who's the president of the Montana Youth Lacrosse Association. Tucker, what have you guys done in Montana, which is a gigantic state with a lot of space between people, and we were talking about this earlier. What have you done to try to grow the game out there and the popularity of the sport?
Well, the biggest thing we've done is we're trying to make the sport more reachable for kids. And like you said, our biggest barrier is our population size and distances. So how can we get kids to play the game and not have families feel like they're just crushed with travel times and distances, that sort of thing. And I think in lacrosse, we do a really poor job of getting kids into the game at an early enough age. We're always competing with, converting kids from hockey or soccer or basketball, whatever, that they started at age 4, 5, 6, kindergarten, first grade, and we see that we need to go, we're trying to flip those kids after families have invested in other things. So my big push recently is let's get these kids growing up with the sport, and let's do it so we can do more of an in-house model. Once they get a little bit older, they want to travel more, families are invested, then they have no problem or less of a problem with those distances. But what can we do to make it so that kids just get exposure right away? And so what we've done as the Montana Youth Lacrosse Association is we've actually provided, little 3x goals and sticks to kids to all these different associations. We only have about 9 youth associations, and that's where we're starting. But if we can get those kids in earlier, get them playing the game, co-ed, guy, girl, doesn't matter, no equipment needed. You only need one parent to, kind of run just a game and they're playing. I think that's going to take a lot more root. And then, in lacrosse, once a kid gets a stick and understands it, they love it, and then they'll grow with it. So if we can start there and then kind of take that model and move it into the smaller communities, I think that there's a lot of opportunity there. And I also think that as the game evolves, the traditional field game, we can shrink it, much like they're trying to do for the Olympics and shrinking roster sizes. So towns and communities aren't hampered by trying to, they only have 12 kids, and they're going out there trying to field a team with 1 or 2 subs. Well, can we shrink the game in the field so that they can have more, have a competitive team?
How have you seen the game grow in your time since you've been out in Montana? Because I know you're not from there originally.
Yeah, well, so I watched, guys I went to college with start the first program in 2008, and it was just in the city of Missoula, where the University of Montana is. So the University of Montana men's club lacrosse team in the MCLA, basically some of those guys started just one youth program, and they would travel. It was a high school team, and they would just go try and get games wherever they could. And from there, then the youth grew down in Missoula, the other communities picked it up. And it had a very quick growth to the 9 cities that have populations over 30,000 people. Yeah. And then it's sort of leveled out. So we're kind of at a stagnant point where we need more people with a background and a passion for it to go and spread the word of lacrosse. But also we need to make it so other communities can get involved, because I get questions and calls all the time from someone who's, say, in Hamilton, Montana, population 3,500 people, they've got 10 kids that are interested. Well, can we develop a game for them where they can learn that and learn the sport, and then still be able to go on after youth, after high school? Can you play lacrosse in college at the club or an NCAA level after that? And I believe you can if you learn the basics of the game. Right.
Yeah. You throw in catch, you give them the initial skills, then the other stuff kind of comes second nature. Like, you can teach somebody strategy over the course of a year. It's tough to teach somebody how to throw and catch over the course of a year.
Exactly. And so if we can teach kids the fundamental skills and the basic concepts of the game and moving, I think those concepts and skills translate, whether you're playing 3-on-3 or 7-on-7, 5-on-5, to 10-on-10. Yeah. I think there's a lot of that skill set translates, but we need to give, these more rural areas, and I've talked to people in Wyoming that are very interested in this, like Nebraska, these more rural areas with great distances. I think it's a model, and I've tried to work with U.S. Lacrosse on more where can we develop it here and then spread that to these other places.
So you mentioned the University of Montana. You're also the MCLA coach of the Grizz.
Go Grizz.
The Grizzlies, and you guys made the national tournament last year. I had a chance to see you guys in action. How does that contributed to the growth? And I wonder, how many of the guys are from Montana that ended up playing for that Montana team?
So it's been really fun. We used to be an entirely out-of-state roster.
Right.
And now, like last year, I think we had 6 kids from Montana that grew up through the youth program that came and are actually able to play at our level. And beforehand, 5 years ago, they still weren't strong enough players to compete even in the MCLA level.
Yeah.
So we're seeing a lot of kids from Montana now want to do that, and I think having the University of Montana have a program that's able to have success shows the kids locally that they can play, because if you grow up in Montana, University of Montana's that's a big deal. The Grizz are a big thing. We play all our home games in a 30,000 person nice Division I stadium. They get the Jumbotron, so like kids see that and they get pumped, and that's where they want to play. It's sort of the crown jewel of sporting venues in Montana.
It's cool. Give them something to chase after.
Right. You need a carrot at the end of the stick.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, hey, we appreciate the time. Enjoy the rest of LaxCon, and good luck with everything you got going on.
Thank you. Come to Montana.